Hello?
Hello, is this Errol Collins?
Yes, it is.
Well, you know what? I didn't think I'd paid my phone bill today trying to get a hold of you, but we got it straightened out, and this is Walt Parazader with the group Chicago, and how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Man, before we even get started, I got to tell you, I've been in radio for 34 years, and every time I introduced the group Chicago, it was always Walt Parazader with Chicago, because I love saying your name as a jock.
Well, it's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, but it makes it fun, though.
But you know what? It sure is. My wife and I happened to be out at a doctor's office, and they murdered the name. And I thought, well, you know, all you have is your name and your word in this world, Errol. And I was going to finally say, you know, it's Parazader, and then I thought I'm just going to let her just flummox around on this one for a while and all of that stuff. But that's very kind of you to say.
You know, you did when growing up, Dick Clark used to have his like Countdown America show and all the different programs. You were always the guy from Chicago that he talked to. Is it because you were just are you the spokesperson?
Well, you know, we all are. There's 4 founding members in the group, and we all blab pretty well and talk about you know, we can speak to the beginning of the band, but I think the reason it might have been with Dick, and we were friends, was that myself and the late Terry Kath, our great guitar player, we were in the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars backup band that, I think when we were teenagers, we went across the country and backed up the Drifters, Tom Jones when he had one hit, Brian Hyland, the Shirelles, you know, Ronnie Howard, and just a bunch of people. That was about 20 acts on a bus, and we went all the way from Catalina Island all the way to Vermont in the summer. And Terry and I really thought we were big shots because of that. But you know, we were privy to an Arrow. If I got that right, I want to make sure. Since you're talking, I know you can pronounce my name right. We were privileged to see an era of traveling by bus and one-nighters, and you know, people really learning to do something and hone their craft, and also learn how to get sleep deprivation, because we'd play maybe two shows a day and go on to another city or another state and everything. But it was such a great experience to be around Dick Clark and to hear him talk about just the acts and what he was doing, and just the pearls of wisdom that came out. So there was always a thing that Dick and I always thought it would be a thing that if Terry and I were going to go on Bandstand, and we never had time because we were so darn busy starting that band February 15th of '67. We're still on the same tour era.
Yeah, right. So, you just keep putting our numbers on your albums.
Pardon me?
Yeah, you just keep putting the number. It's the same tour, but you just keep changing the album It's the numbers on your albums.
That's just so we don't get confused. No, but there is also a method to that madness that that we want people in the future, somewhere along the way, when we've left this jam session to go to the next one in the sky and everything, that people could look at our records and they're categorized sort of like the works of Stravinsky and all that, and go, well, let's see what Chicago did on their 30th album. Okay, well, let's go back to the first thing they ever did, and they could really sort of chart our progress, and sort of have an easy way to do it that way. So, I have to tell you, talking to you now and talking about this tour that's lasted for 46 years, we're sure a lucky bunch of guys that are able to do something, thanks to all of you people that you put the records on the air, and the people out there have supported us all these years. We've thrown a party for 46 years, and everybody's come every year. Thank goodness.
Well, for me, it was the song "If You Leave Me Now." Suddenly, I was caught, and I've never let go.
Isn't that something?
Oh, man.
And everyone has a song, and they'll come up and say, "Geez, we got married to this song," or "I was having a rough time when this song came out, and this one helped me get over it," and all of that. And sometimes, Errol, we don't think about that. We're thinking more about writing new music and becoming better composers, better stage performers, better studio performers, and just better musicians in general. and you don't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. But when people say that to you, like you said, if you leave me, got you hooked and everything, that's very flattering. And because of the nice words I hear today, I'm going to practice a little harder, because my thrust is really to learn something new each and every day, to bring it to the band, so that we just make better presentations on I'm going to say records, although we know it's not records now. It can be iTunes and everything else.
Oh, but, and yet Neil Young has just invented that new iPod-looking thing that's supposed to sound just like an album now. So it's okay to go back to saying albums.
You know what? I don't think it's too bad. It's we've gone through all the other things, and you know what they always said: save those old bell bottoms. They'll come back to the top of the pile, and you know what? All of a sudden you'll be hip again. So it's a funny thing how music is cyclical, and we're even pressing records that are vinyl, that super vinyl, as you know, is out there.
Speaking of the disco, or that era, you guys did not go disco. And you guys not only survived that, you survived the electronic age of the British invasion of the 80s. You got to tell me what your secret is. What are you guys doing up there in the city of Chicago? Is it the wind? Is it the green water on St. Patrick's Day? What is it?
Well, you know what? It might not be the green water on St. Patrick's Day, but that water makes some of the greatest pizza in the world. The good old Chicago water and everything. To be honest with you, and not to be glib, I think there's a work ethic that we learned in the Midwest, that we always figure, if you work a little harder, you're going to know a little more. You're going to learn more. And that's what we're still trying to do. We're still trying, we're still writing and creating music. We're still putting on shows that we love to do. We just got done with our summer tour, and now we're coming your way. And we're
performing with the Charlotte Symphony.
Well, that's the thing that really is near and dear to my heart, because I hold a playing degree from Chicago, from DePaul University, and I was going to play in the Chicago Symphony, and so this is this is a busman's holiday when we do this, and we're playing a few symphony orchestras in the fall here, and we're just happy to be in your neck of the woods on the 21st. To have some fun at that North Carolina Blumenthal Performing Arts Center, and with the symphony, and it's just going to be a kick. And we've just been fortunate all this time to just be able to be allowed, as I said earlier, to do something that we truly love to do. So you're going to see a pretty cool show come the 21st, that Saturday. We'll throw a party, and we know there'll be people there, so we'll tap dance and have a good time.
So what would your life be like today if you guys would not have been creatively challenged by blood, sweat, and tears?
Creatively challenged by blood, sweat, and tears?
Because it seems like there was a big battle in that era. It was like, which one of these woodwind instrument bands is going to be the one that's going to take over? And you guys win. Ding, 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 you win.
Well, that's awful nice of you to say. We never really thought of it as winning, because Al Cooper put together, as you probably know, the Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and he recorded A Child is a Father to Man album, before we did. But he'll also admit that we had started the band Chicago with horns, because he had seen us at the Whiskey A Go-Go on a Sunday night back in, I think it had to be 1968 or 69, and he put together Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and there wasn't really a rivalry like the bands didn't hate each other, or it was a battle of the bands or whatever, but it's just sort of a wild thing that after Al Cooper left after that one album, they went another different direction, which was more of a jazz rock type situation, but we always wanted to do. We had the idea of just being a rock and roll band with horns, where the horns were an integral part of the musical fabric. Mm-hmm. Not just and when I say not just, but we listening to James Brown, listening to Sam and Dave, all of these R&B tunes. There was plenty of horn accompaniment, but we wanted the horns to actually be part of the fiber and interwoven into the melodic grooves and right into the tunes, instead of just the bop bop, ba la bop, but just to be right and as an integral part of the music.
And don't you think
that's what we did?
And don't you think we're going back into a real era of music again with the Bruno Mars and even with Justin Timberlake and stuff like that? Don't you think that we're starting to finally go back into some real horns?
You know what? I really do. You know, it's funny you talk about Justin Timberlake. I think the horns also after that NSYNC sort of went their separate ways or took a hiatus. Lance Bass asked us to come in and play a couple tunes.
Wow.
You know, and Justin is a very aware musician, and Bruno Mars, as far as I'm concerned, he's a throwback to anybody from Prince to James Brown to R&B and even above that. I just think he's a wonderful musician, a great performer.
Now, are you familiar with the Kevin Bacon terms, 9 degrees of separation?
Yes.
You and I have something in common.
Okay.
Bruce,
how much money do I owe you?
That's right. It's Bruce Geitch.
Bruce Geitch.
Yeah, you guys worked with Bruce on the Big Band album. Well, Bruce Geitch is my stepdaughter's father.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Bruce is, I don't say this to patronize anybody or whatever, but he's just first of all, he's a great musician.
Thank you.
You know, and we got together on the West Coast and got to know him, and then went up to Vancouver and did a big band album, which we were truly proud of. And he was always after me we were going to find the perfect martini.
Oh, that's him.
Which you can add this onto the degrees of separation of Bruce Geitch. But and we found it in Vancouver, and then we almost didn't find our car, which we weren't driving, by the way. But I have to tell you, he's that way. I don't know if you would know this, or his relatives would know this. He's a heck of a cook and a chef.
Yes, he is, because every time he comes to Charlotte, he will always make sure that we come over there for Thanksgiving and all the different dinners and stuff, and he will just meticulously make sure that everything is perfect.
He's serious, and I got to tell you, he makes things from scratch, and I have to tell you, we just never knew what he was going to come up with when we were rehearsing for that album and doing another record. But you know what? We were awful happy when he presented something at the table when we were done recording.
What is the greatest memory that you've got with? Because I don't want to say 46 years, because that makes it seem like that you and I are old. So let's just say that this journey is just starting. And you're reading a book about Walt Parazader. What is the one thing that you would make sure that's in there?
My goodness. Boy, there's a few things. There would be. I have to tell you, this just popped out. I mean, I have two wonderful daughters that my wife presented me, and seeing one of the daughters. The technology wasn't there, or you weren't allowed to be in the birthing room when we had our first daughter. But to see my second daughter draw her first breath on this earth was one of the most incredible things. And along with that, and on a personal note, and I don't share them too often, is that my wife and I are going to be married 47 years this year.
Hey.
And that is truly my claim to fame. But to see my wife, and I checked in from time to time with all the tours we've been on, to see two daughters grow straight and strong thanks to their mother and everything has been a very exciting thing. And those are the first things that come to mind, is the personal and the human things. And after that, I'd have to say playing in front of 1 million people in Philadelphia back on the 200th birthday of the Constitution was something that you can't even describe what a whisper sounded like from 1 million people.
Can you see people from up there with those big lights? I mean, can you physically see out there, and what goes through your mind?
Well, you could go two ways on this, Errol. It's you could go stand up there and totally freak out and start probably running around on one arm like Curly with the Three Stooges because you're just freaked out. Or what we've learned over the years is to deliver a show, and we're all sort of nervous before the show starts, but to take that nervous energy, and when we're announced, go out there, whether it's 1 million people, whether it's 2,000 people, whatever it would be, and go out there and turn that nervous energy around into positive to make the greatest show we could probably make for the people that we're performing for.
And when you perform for like with the Charlotte Symphony, when you perform with them, is it more difficult to work with people that you've never been with, or is it like, okay, I accept this challenge?
Well, when you think that we're the big common denominator here is the music. They're musicians and we're musicians, so we speak the same language. So with rehearsals, which will happen, I'm sure, and just getting to know the conductor a little bit and him getting to know us, that the show should just be a really great meld of a couple different genres and types of music, being that being a classical orchestra backing up a contemporary musical band, a rock and roll band with horns, and we've done it quite a few times. And it's come out so well that it always gives us an extra boost. The energy you feel when you have a symphony orchestra behind you is it's a very powerful feeling, and it's a very good feeling. And I think the people that come that Saturday, the 21st, to Blumenthal, I think they're going to see something a little special.
You wait till you see our conductor. He's a nut. I go and watch a Charlotte Symphony just to watch him. He's a nut.
Well, you know what? He's a musician, so we're all nuts, you know that.
John Lennon said, "Living is loving and loving is living." Is there a quote that Walt Parazader has ever said that he continues to live by today?
Well, I'd have to say, I think what we do is important. We take it very seriously, as far as performing, as I said, as far as evolving musically to be better on record, to be better composers, to be better on stage, to be better players and everything. But I really have to say the thing that when it comes down to it, the music and everything, this is not brain surgery. It's 5-minute tunes that, if you make a mistake, nobody in the audience is going to clutch their chest and fall over. And I would hope that you can, and I think you can grasp the I don't want to say levity of that, and it's not being very glib. It's just saying, doctors that are brain surgeons and everything, they're doing something important. I think we are also doing something important, but not so self-important that we're full of ourselves doing it. It is 5-minute ditties, and you know what? And if there is a mistake, and people are human, nobody's going to stand up and keel over. And for the most part, people stand up and they're smiling because we're in the happiness business. We make people happy.
When you call it a ditty, do you find yourself being that next generation of Count Basie and stuff? Or because I got to be honest with you, my favorite Chicago album is the Big Band album, because you touched something in me that just totally blew me away. I love In the Mood. So, do you consider yourself a modern day big band album or a big band?
You know what? I do. I really do. I think we came from there. I could only share with you that my father was a 6'5" trumpet player who played for 70 years and played that music that you heard, that the band Chicagoized on the Big Band album. And by the way, the horns and everybody, we're very proud of that album. And I think we're an evolution of what happened from the Glenn Miller days, from the Count Basie days, who we had a pleasure and honor to meet, Count Basie and Duke Ellington and people like that went before us. And that's, I'd have to say, when you say that's your favorite album, that's one of our favorite albums. I think if somebody said, what would you want to put in a time capsule so people could come back and see, what you were about, that Big Band album, Night and Day, would be in that time capsule, along with the first album, I'm sure, and some other stuff. But we are very proud of that, and without getting woo and off the charts here as far as ethereal, when we were recording that, I'm definitely felt like we got the horns got channeled by maybe some of the guys that played on In the Mood that just happened to visit us, because we were doing something that we love to do, and we researched it. And I just think that we felt people jump in our skin, and if that makes me a little nuts, get the rope and the straitjacket for me, the musical straitjacket for me on the 21st when we see you all and everything. But there was just the feeling about that, and realizing that these people created this music so many years before, and that we were so amenable and so it was almost like channeling different people. If it sounds nutty, I'm sorry, but it was so much fun doing it that I just felt that there were people around that were helping us do this.
Where did you get the lyrics for "In the Mood"? My entire life, I never heard lyrics until I heard you guys sing it.
You know what? That's our great singers that just had a way of putting things together, and they put that together, and it sounded pretty darn good, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It sounded so perfectly. It's like it's the one thing that was missing from that song. And then all of a sudden, you guys come up with it, and it happens right at the right moment too, because everything stops, and then boom, here you guys come in with the vocals. It totally takes over.
Well, you know what? You do know that album, that's for sure.
But would you call those pregnant pauses? Don't you think that's what's missing from a lot of today's music? And not to knock hip hop or classic rock and stuff like that, but it seems like that you guys would create a crescendo and then boom, out you would go with the hook of the song.
Well, you know what? I just think that we're very fortunate that we have very talented people in the band, the originals included, and the fellas that came along the way to help move this project forward. That we're going to keep on doing this until we get it right, and may we never, Errol.
I was just going to ask you that.
We're just having a lot of fun, doing this. But I think it's just the fact that we're just trying to do something a little different, and it comes out in a Chicagoized way.
Wow. Walt Parazader going to be in town September 21st with the Charlotte Symphony with the group Chicago. No tour anytime in the future, because you know how baseball does it, the Cubbies and the White Sox. Would you guys ever, just for the fun of it, do Chicago Transit Authority tour?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Would you ever, just for the fun of it, because the Cubbies and the White Sox always like to have their throwback days, would you ever do a concert or a small tour just as Chicago Transit Authority? Or would you just, no matter what, we're just Chicago?
Well, you know what? We're Chicago or whatever, but you know what? If they asked us to play, we'd play.
I love it.
That's our roots, isn't it? And the Cubs have been breaking our hearts for years. At least the White Sox pulled one out here after the millennium, and we got to get those Cubs going.
Are you a Cubby fan?
Yeah, I am. I am, and that there's something probably wrong with my mental abilities here, but I'm a sap for them.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
You know what? It really was a pleasure, and thank everybody at the station. As I said, if you didn't put the music on the airwaves, we'd be nowhere. And the people out there, thank you very much for allowing us to do something that we truly love to do. And on the 21st, you'll see that love is definitely going to pour over that stage with the help of a bunch of fine musicians from North Carolina.
Thank you so much, Walt. Thank you. All right, man. You have a wonderful day today.
Hey, the same to you.
Okay, bye-bye.